If I had to say one line about what I want this to look like, I would say it should look like aura for skincare. It has to be something very simplest, but it has to connect. It knows who you are, what your skin fluctuations are, what your routines are, what your lifestyle changes are, and it actually already knows what your next step needs to be. And that's what it's all about. You know, entrepreneurship is a chronic disease. That's how I describe it. Because you have it, you cannot never get rid of it. And you may as well learn how to live with it because it's not going to leave you ever.
And I think you're born with it, right? I mean,
you're born with it.
If you have a recommendation for the next entrepreneur to
be resilient.
Right.
Do not be afraid.
Right.
Set the goals and execute. I'm very passionate about female entrepreneurship in general, but I do believe that we actually have an advantage.
Welcome to another episode of Closing the Gap. Closing the Gap, it's about bringing elements of science and innovation to the community that it's listening, and it's brought to you by the Women's Brain Foundation. The Women's Brain Foundation, it is an organization that has been pioneering sex and gender precision medicine, and we focus to address those unmet needs in medicine with a specific lens of sex and gender. We need to acknowledge that women have been excluded from basic research and clinical trials, but also innovation. So this is what we're trying to solve with this type of dialogues. My name is Dr. Antonella Santuccione Chadha. I am a medical doctor, a neuroscientist, and I am the founder of the Women's Brain Foundation. I am pleased today to have a guest, a special and a dear guest to me. It's about Yoanna Gouchtchina, and she's the founder of Quantum Skin. We've met actually in Zurich a while ago, and we decided that it was time to bring the great piece of innovation that she's doing to the broader audience of the community of the Women's Brain Foundation and beyond. Welcome, Yoanna. It's a pleasure to have you here in town.
Good morning. Thank you very much for such a kind introduction, and I'm truly honored to be here today.
Same. I mean, it is a privilege to have us with us, and I'd love to really grasp the meaning of the innovation you're trying to bring on the market for taking care of our skin, related also to the aging process and personalization of all of this. Nevertheless, before we go into the science and what you're trying to develop, I'd like to bring out a little bit the essence of your leadership skills and the journey that brought you towards this innovative idea. So who are you as a woman? Who are you as a leader?
Well, thank you so much for setting the stage. I think it's good to go back a little bit into my background, and I'll give you a little bit of an introduction of where I come from. So I was born in a highly technical background family. Focused on engineering and math. To give you a little bit of a perspective, my grandfather was a fighter pilot. His brother was a fighter pilot. His sister was a fighter pilot. My father was in the Air Force all his life, and I was actually born on an Air Force base and lived there for the first part of my life.
Interesting.
So I always had this perspective of, very different type of technology, but very high end, and how it could be used for good and maybe not for such good.
Right.
And then, but that also built a certain amount of resilience in the character, going through those early development stages, and build a lot of independence and resilience living in that environment. And I think that's what's important to also understand. But then at a very early age, at the age of 16, I moved cultures, I moved countries. I basically left my family and went out on a journey of studying and exploring the world.
Well, a pilot as well, piloting yourself
Piloting myself into the future, right. So that early upbringing, but then also early experiences kind of set a stage for really trying to grasp and kind of establish, my personal ground. But also, I think that the word resilience is probably the most important that was engraved in me from the very early childhood. So when later on, I went on different journeys, very eclectic background. But also a lot of that was linked to technological development. For a while, although I was at a certain point I was studying business, then I went into commercial diplomacy. I also had some time to work in a highly technological field like nuclear non-proliferation. I was in nuclear intelligence and safeguards for a while. So I also had a good grasp on very highly complex technological systems used for different means. So all those, so I was exposed to technology from a very early age and throughout my life as I went on. And that gave me also an understanding of how the big systems, big intelligence works.
What was the first thing that you did as a leader, to create what you're now driving forward? So is it about identifying the right team, the right people? What does a founder CEO has to do first to move forward?
Correct. So first of all, you have to have a vision, and that comes from the CEO and having leadership skills that you acquire through life. So you have to have a very clear, very precise vision of where you are now, but also what you're trying to achieve. Once you have that vision set, then one and the most important thing that you need to go about is bringing the right people on board. But without the vision, it becomes chaos very quickly.
So tell me about your vision. What brought you there, to be the founder of Quantum Skin, tackling the problem of precise application for, the skin and how the skin is eventually aging? What was your vision?
My vision, maybe another step back. So my vision started with personal frustration for many years.
Interesting.
Frustration in the sense that your life happens very fast. It changes very fast. You move different environments, different backgrounds. Your hormonal situation changes. You went on having children. That changes everything that you do. But what happened to me and what happens to many or all women and men is that your skin constantly changes as well.
Right.
So frustration came from year to year going and looking for different solutions that weren't necessarily serving my needs. But I also couldn't understand how, like you would buy a product, you would try to use it, but then you wouldn't really know how it actually affects your skin, and trial and error constantly. So that frustration basically at some point in my early 40s brought me to a realization that there's all this technology that is available. It's being used in other industries to create smart solutions and smart products, but for some reason, it's not translated to skincare. And that frustration and realization that there's definite technology that exists that could be linked to solving that problem of frustration of daily skincare started me on the journey of creating Quantum Skin.
Which brings me to one reflection. I mean, the skin is one of the most important organs we do have, but it's not foreseen as such. I mean, you think about skin merely as a cosmetic part of our entire body. Vice versa, the skin speaks for how we age, for how we feel, and there is a tight interconnection between the immune system, the brain health status, how we sleep, how our hormones, as you said, will change during our life. Do you think that all this is reflected in the way we do solutions for skin treatment? And how are you trying to solve this problem, if not?
Correct. So how the industry operates or has been operating up to date, mainly focusing on cosmetic science, focusing on active ingredients, focusing on formulations, and basically setting standards, of course, for different skin conditions, but merely focusing on the part of how we make the formulations for different skin conditions. But there's not really a very clear approach, and there's some shifts that are starting right now, but there's not a clear approach of how those formulations, how those active ingredients actually fit into an individual picture of every single person that uses them.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, you can have a sensitive skin. You can, you can have, I don't know, certain products can work or work not for you, but still that decision of making a judgment of what you should use is left to us. And we don't know.
Exactly.
And if we don't know how we're gonna be able to make the right decisions.
I think we are left alone a little bit with a trial-error approach and the one-size-fits-all approach, thinking that treatments for skin or skin care, can be left as a decision to the user, to the person that will search for some aid. But you're absolutely right. We don't really have a personalized and specific approach to how we should treat our skin, and eventually how to understand how our skin is aging. Because, as I said, the way the skin ages, it's a reflection of how we are aging internally with all our organs.
Correct.
So how are you solving this issue? Because it's very fascinating, and I don't think that many out there are thinking about this approach and this reflection.
Right. So let's just assume that every skin is individual. And everybody needs an approach that is individual to them. So that was beginning of our journey at Quantum Skin, is basically realizing that concept. The next step was to identify technology that can actually serve that need, but at the same time could be very non-invasive, that could be used by many or all. So that's why we basically went on identifying technology. And I've worked with this technology of atomization to the skin.
Atomization to the skin. Explain us what it is all about.
So basically, it's technology of spray atomization, which happens with highly pressurized release of the particles through a very precise nozzle, specifically built to miniaturize the particles that are released, but at the same time create a certain way of application where it penetrates the skin.
And there are science that
There's
shows
science
all this,
behind
right?
it. I mean, we have done a number of studies on how it actually penetrates, and we have a publication on that. But there's also a number of sciences, mainly in the medical field, that basically confirm that this form of atomization is actually very beneficial to deliver active ingredients deeply to the skin. So we took that technology, we looked at it, but at the same time, while it's very effective and it delivers ingredients deeply and it basically makes them serve us longer, it's very non-invasive. So basically anybody, women, men, and in the future, we believe also children, can apply this, can use and apply the product. So we focused, first of all, on very seamless but effective part of delivery to the skin. Second part of the, but that's not enough. You know, there are many different devices in the market, but that's just one of the segments.
Correct.
In order to create the intelligence system, you have to connect it. And how do you connect it? So we built a back-end system, basically like an intelligent software system behind it, which allows the user to take a very simple selfie through your cell phone.
Wait a second. So now you're telling me that from such a technological solution as the one you've described and the way active ingredients would benefit the skin and penetrate into our skin, we are talking about a selfie. So can you elaborate a little
elaborate.
bit?
So
Yes.
let me elaborate.
It's
So
very
basically, you would take a selfie. I mean, obviously, it's a very complex system, but to the user as well, it has to be very simple.
Right.
And you know, for adoption of consumer technology, it has to be so simple that you don't have to think about it. And it's something that is already built into your behavioral patterns. So you would take a selfie.
Which we all do.
And it would
almost
tell
daily,
you,
right?
But you have a purpose of that selfie, though.
Right.
It would basically, based on your skin analysis, which we have built in just from taking a selfie, it would tell you your so-called skin index. So it would tell you parameters of your skin that you have at this very moment. Like, you know, the percentage of hydration of your skin, the skin tone, sensitivity, and so forth. So it would give you an index, and then basically your system, it's your app, it's your account, you know, it's basically personalized to you based on your skin condition. It would tell you what is the product that you need to use. And then the third component of our system is basically a line of products developed for most common skin conditions that system selects itself. You don't do it because you don't know.
Right.
But the system selects it for you and recommends the product you should use.
Which means you have a piece of, I assume, machine learning and artificial intelligence behind, right? Because
we do.
Can you elaborate how you've been training the model, how you approached this aspect?
Absolutely. And I want to mention that we started building this before this whole AI hype came about.
Super interesting. So when was it actually? Because this is also very
important to mention that we're not building anything on the hype. This has been a system that has been in development for years. But
how many years?
5 years now.
5 years. 5 years.
Exactly.
And that was also where I think your technological development start, right? Because if I understood correctly, you got a lot of help even from public funding to get this precise technological piece to do you want to do.
We did.
Yeah.
But let me go into the models first, and then we can talk a little bit about how we were actually able to bring it to life. So how we built the system initially, when we had a vision.
Mm-hmm.
So the vision was to create a smart system that goes from going from reactive approach to skincare to predictive approach to skincare.
Personalized,
very
predictive.
Important.
Right.
That the system would be able to predict what is this next step you need based on your lifestyle, your skin condition, the use of products, the environment, everything. So we had this vision, so we had to bring all the teams that could cover that vision. So for the development of the product, we brought in a full dermatological team, full cosmetic chemistry team, AI and ML specialists for development of the software and the backend, and of course the hardware team to deal with the applicator and the device. So how we build the model is we had to start somewhere. We had to get data to train the models. So since we were working with dermatology team and we had quite an extensive access to data, of course, very well protected data. So we took a database of 120,000 medical grade face images of patients. We labeled it. First of all, we segmented it because we wanted to protect the information. We couldn't use the full face image, so we did segmentation of the face for different parts, for the cheeks, for the forehead, for parts of the face. Then we labeled it. So there were full teams basically labeling at the dermatological level of skin conditions so we could learn from something.
That will be your ground truth,
That would be the ground truth. And then basically that data was used to pre-train the system.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say, you take a selfie, obviously it's a very simplified approach.
But
there's a big system behind it, which basically, when it scans it, it can read of what it is. It runs it against the big database, and then it gives you back the analysis that you need.
And this is how actually the whole field is anyhow moving forward. Because if there is one area where certainly the machine learning AI approach is transforming the healthcare system. It's diagnostic and diagnostic of skin condition.
Absolutely.
I think this is one of the most advanced field. Would you agree?
Know, and right now it's phenomenal because, I mean, this is the way we were building the system and, that was our ground truth. But now what we can do is we take that as a base, which is already very highly technologically precise. But then we can add additional AI models that are coming up right now, that are big companies that are developing, and that increases the precision of the diagnostics even more. So I think really the world is the limit now with what we can do with the skin analysis, but that's just part of the system. Very important to understand that in order to have an intelligent system, you have to link all the parts. Because it's not enough just to take a selfie and diagnose your skin condition. It's also important to understand how you use your products.
Of course.
How you apply the products. And that's where, our hardware piece comes in.
Actually, if I may, we really don't do that, right? I mean, we really have a very shallow approach to skin treatment and skin care. Anyone buy any cream, you do not really know what is good for you, what is not. You don't measure the effect, you don't measure the outcome, but you keep on going with it, which in a way is good because it's very simple, but, simplicity, it is not certainly the way to approach such an important organ like skin. We just said it, and I repeat it once again. The skin, it is one of the most vital organ of our entire body. Let's think about, if you burn your skin, how dangerous it can be. It's life-threatening. It regulates the temperature. It regulates how the inner organ function. And it's a sign, as I said, of how we do age and we go through life. And as men and women, it's also very different. As far as I know, there aren't enough studies conducted in men and women to understand how we differently age and how all those ingredients that are contained into creams, into the products we buy from the shelf, to specialist dermatologists are tailored for men and women. And actually, I'd like to understand if your solution can, in the future or even right now, provide us with this type of information. I mean,
when we were evaluating, as I said, we established most common skin conditions for evaluation because we had to start somewhere. I mean, obviously you can't start with the whole world, but you establish the ground that covers 95% of the population. But while we were building the system, we also paid attention to male skin. And we found out, we didn't find out, we work with dermatologists that know that already. But we were able to build it into the system that male skin is different in many different ways because it's, different hormonal background and also different thickness of the skin. So there are different products and maybe even different way of application that needs to be done for male skin as opposed to female skin. But what the industry is not doing right now, although there's obviously different products for men and women, once again, mainly focusing on cosmetic science as opposed to the full picture of delivery and application and creating a wholesome picture of what the differences are.
Right.
So really important to understand that there are differences. And I think there's a little bit of light being shed, or not already, but there's definitely more that can be done.
Absolutely. And I think it's also the dosage, the percentage of those ingredients that, should be applied in the best possible way rather than, the way we do it today. But back to your journey, because we started from you as a leader, you as a founder, and what brought you to technology. How did you come up to this idea? I mean, you are really the founder, the person behind it. I mean, did you wake up one morning and said, okay, I want to do this and I want to use this technology and I need this, and that? Or how does it work to be the founder?
I kind of did. I woke up one morning and I said, it's enough. Because, keep in mind, like, I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I had two other companies before, all in technology, but very different from what I'm doing right now. But one morning, having two children, one small and one already not so small, I woke up once again frustrated because I was getting some, redness on my skin, and I was looking and going, okay, what now?
Okay.
What now? What am I going to do now?
Okay.
So, but I was already building in me like this, what I mentioned before, the frustration of not being able to know exactly now what I need to do. And if I wanted to know, I would have to go to a cosmetologist or dermatologist office for any sort of consultation.
We take times and,
And I thought to myself, look, there must be an easier solution. And I was already introduced to the atomization technology before in a salon setting. So I knew it worked and it was wonderful. But there was just no way I was able to do those visits and being a busy mom of two, an entrepreneur, and have my life happen to me. I needed to find something that is easier. And actually, one morning I woke up and there's literally like this light bulb came on. It's like, why don't we transform that big, bulky technology that already exists,
that it's complex and
that
that
is
it
complex,
is not accessible daily.
into home use? I mean, there
Exactly.
must be a way.
Yes, correct.
Plus, like if you use it daily, then it's definitely the consistency is there and it's going to be much better. And then a little bit later down the road, so the first was kind of focusing on what is the active skincare that you can bring to home use, but eventually exploring that picture more. And that's, part of the vision where you can actually make that system. If you're already bringing a device directly to a home use, you may as well make it smart.
Of course, I mean.
Because that's what I was saying, like, the different pieces of the system that we developed at Quantum Skin. One thing that is very important that I think still is kind of like a novelty in the industry, but it's already being adopted in other areas. Like, for example, connected wearables like
Right.
Aura. I love this because it's seamless. I wear it. I don't think about it. It gives me all the information about my sleep, my heart rate. Perfect. I don't think about it. But it's a very seamless integration into my daily life.
Right.
Another thing that I love is, the capsule coffee machines. because it makes my life just slightly easier and I don't have to think about it. It's all about time optimization when you're so busy and we're going on about your life, but you want to have that insight. So why not have this in skincare? It has to be something very simplest, but it has to connect. So if you apply your skincare and it learns of when you applied, what you applied, how frequent, what time of the day, it syncs that information to the back end
and guides you.
And to your skin analysis, which you take, and then it gives you a smart recommendation on what you need to use. And over time, it knows who you are, what your skin fluctuations are, what your routines are, what your lifestyle changes are, and it actually already knows what your next step needs to be. And that's what it's all about.
So, Yoanna, if I ask you how you see your technology evolving as compared to what we have today, and we spoke about data, all the collection of information you are gaining and analyzing, and then the machine learning, the AI piece behind, what will it look like in your opinion?
So if I had to say one line about what I want this to look like, I would say it should look like Aura for skincare.
Right.
So basically a connected system for sleep that is already developed is amazing. I want to do the same, but for skincare.
I think that there is also application beyond the daily skincare because I think this is where precision medicine, even for skin conditions and skin diseases, should move forward.
Absolutely.
Because, right, we have it now for skin treatment and skin care on a daily basis, but the same can be translated into, as I said, skin diseases, because even there we just apply creams in a shallow way.
Yeah.
And imagine if you can start to give a better way of applying it with a technology that allows better absorption, better distribution, but also personalize the dosage, the time of treatment, the way you are responding to treatment, on a personal base. That's how I see the future of medicine, personalization. And if it goes via, starting from something simpler, like, daily routine of your skin treatment, that's phenomenal because you're going to expand this approach even to the entire medical system. So thanks for what you're doing because it's pioneering work. It is important work, obvious work, which has not been done yet, though, right?
Yeah, but consistency, it's half of the success, right?
Yeah.
But how do we track consistency? How do we know? How do we encourage consistency? And I think that's what what you're saying. It can transform into many different fields. I think it's very clearly transforms into a medical field, with application and treatment of different very difficult skin diseases.
Of course.
We're not going there yet, but there's definitely
potential.
a potential that exists. And I think once we have proven that this, the intelligence can be used for good and actually for communication even between the user and the doctor, then it could become, something much more bigger. And it will.
Absolutely.
We're focused on skincare right now, but it has a lot more potential, learning and applying, once again, going from a very reactive skin or very reactive routine that we have now without really understanding what we're doing to something that is predictive and intelligent.
It's going to be predictive, intelligent, and precise. And this is the concept behind what we call the 3P medicine. But talking about prediction, in theory, your solution can evolve also towards predicting how you will age and prevent that type of aging process, at least from a skin perspective. And as I said, imagine if we would relate all those data that you will gain on skin aging and progression of skin aging and correlate it to all the other data that you mentioned one can collect with other portable wearable devices.
Right.
Like we can even correlate eventually how inner organ are aging and get manifested towards skin aging. I know it sounds a bit futuristic, but that's how the vision should be, right? So can you elaborate? Am I seeing it wrong or,
No, absolutely right. So basically where we start right now is kind of monitoring what the daily routine is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, bringing additional aspects that may influence the changes in our skin. Like, for example, the environment change, the pollution, the humidity, temperature, dryness,
right.
Changing location.
And
all that technology
is
is already available. Keep in mind that all that technology we're talking about right now is already available on your phone.
Correct.
What we need to do right now and what we're doing right now is linking all those pieces of information into one simple interface where we take that into consideration when looking at the daily routine of what the user is doing, because it does have an effect. Your monthly menstrual cycle has an effect.
Absolutely, on the skin.
Your stress has an effect.
Absolutely.
And now,
immune response.
And now having all additional areas where health is already monitored, like, for example, the sleep, diet, we can link all of that into the system because it has to be a wholesome picture to predict. And it sounds very futuristic, but it really is not, because all the technology is segmented, already available. All we need to do is to bring it together to close the loop.
Mm-hmm.
The smart system becomes smart when you can go full circle of knowing what the user is doing. And that's why I'm saying, the market right now is very segmented. There are a bunch of devices, there are a bunch of apps, there's a bunch of skincare, but they're all segmented. But you need to, in order to be, there's no, you can take a selfie and somebody can recommend the product, but then what?
Mm-hmm,
what happens?
Mm-hmm. No, I think.
Are you using? Are you not using? Are you applying? Not applying?
For me, it's
your
about
skin, you don't know.
Response. For me, it's the response of the skin to what you're applying.
Exactly. So
I never asked myself this question, and I think it is an important element. After we exchange what you're doing and the science behind it, I was really reflecting on my behavior, on my daily routine behavior, and I thought, well, I never thought of that, despite I am a medical doctor and a scientist, right? So I think that there is a way of transforming the way we take care of our skin, not just as a sign of our beauty or how we age, but also as an organ that deserve the right products at the right time, at the right moment, applied in the right precise way. And all this data that you're describing are going to transform it. Now, the question I have is, and you touched the base already upon it, but with whom are you doing all of this? I mean, which are the mind behind this idea that you need to activate to make this a successful solution that benefit?
We have an excellent team of experts. I mean, and that's what I mentioned. Having a vision is part of it, but having an excellent team of experts behind it is the key to success. Because, and this is something that, coming back to my background, I learned it at the very early stages with working very complex projects in many different fields. But there was one key element that went through all of this. The people that execute is all that matters.
Absolutely.
You can have a great vision.
Absolutely.
But if you don't have people that are able, but actually connect with that vision and are able to execute, you will not get anywhere. So basically, my when I had this vision, I was able to onboard top-notch experts in all those different fields that I mentioned: the dermatology, cosmetic science, hardware, AI, ML.
You need the talent. You need
I
to
had
be
the
surrounded
talent,
by
yeah.
talent.
So I brought all those experts, in, and we did a lot of R&D. We went on for 2 years of just doing simple R&D to see what is working, what is not working, a lot of trial and error.
And this is how you started. We go back a little bit now to your experience as an entrepreneur, but also as an innovator. You got support with public funding for doing all your R&D at the early days of of development.
So
right?
what we did was realizing that it's an innovative project, and any innovative project requires R&D and trial and error, and it's actually very hard to raise private funding to do any of that. But we were lucky enough, or focused enough, I want to say. Focused enough to focus on public funding that was available. So we actually raised a sufficient amount of grant public money from the European Union to fund the stage of R&D. So that's why we were able to actually, test a lot of the system, build different parts of the technology and bring the product to the point of commercializing with that funding.
Which is amazing because it is a beautiful way of developing an idea forward, and really represents the journey that every innovator and entrepreneur should follow. Start with R&D, being supported for doing your great innovation, science and discoveries, and then eventually go for more of the extra boost of private funding that will bring you to the next level. But first you need to have a robust idea behind you. So congratulations, because it's
Thank
also
you.
not obvious. It's not obvious, certainly also for women. We need to acknowledge that barely 3% of global funds get invested into female founders. So you're one of the rare example, I will say, successful example of accomplishing that. And I think that what you are describing of getting surrounded by talents reflects also my personal journey. I mean, I can say proudly so that if I've become the leader that I am at the foundation, but also another organization before, it's because I followed the recommendation of one of the most important person in my life, which was my grandfather. He always said to me since I was a small young child, surround yourself with people that are better than you and learn from them.
True,
and
true.
This makes us, I think, resilient because you learn from others on a daily basis. You acknowledge that there are people who are smarter than you in the room, and this is where you can flourish not only as a human, but with your great idea. Because ideas are cheap. You need the people.
I mean, ideas are great, but
and cheap. You need great people to implement them, and that's where the effort goes. This is where the energy goes. To identify who are the talents that can bring your idea further. Because anyone can have an idea. Anyone can get up in the morning, as you described, with I should have a better way of taking care of me, myself. I have a red flush on my skin, how can I solve it? But to bring it to the level where it becomes a solution for everyone and democratize it in a way, that's not easy. So you represent a successful story, I think.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
yeah,
But
how
I
does
think
it
it's also
fit?
fun, like identifying your team is one. Then I think it becomes just, like you really need to enjoy what you're
Oh,
doing. And the
absolutely.
people that are working with you also need to enjoy it. So I think this whole going together through all these loops and ups and downs and failures, this is working, this is not working, but at the end coming up with something that is a wow effect
Absolutely.
and everybody feels like they're a part of it,
Absolutely.
that's gold.
I agree. And actually, this brings me to one reflection, which is purpose. One way to longevity and to, I think, also healthy skin and healthy look, because in the end, we all want to look healthy and good, it is to a purpose. I think when a person is purpose-driven, it makes the person shine and look gorgeous. And even how our immune system reacts and so speaks to the skin, and we are who we are, we become actually nicer, right? And there is another thing. I was once in a conversation with Deepak Chopra. Everyone knows him, right? And beyond purpose, I think there is one parameter that you touched, which is very, very important. The parameter to measure success, he told me, should be one. And that's joy. The level of joy you put in doing the things you do. And you mentioned that word. That's, for me, the key to success. As a human being, as an entrepreneur, as a medical doctor, as a mother, as a companion, as a friend. So the level of joy that you have in anything you do. If you have no joy, I always say to my people, step out and move away.
I agree with you 100%. Because, when you're going on such also a complex journey, you may as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to spend a lot of time doing this. And this is, I think, kind of a word forward for any entrepreneur. It's going to be a long journey.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. You're going to have very harsh ups and downs all the time.
I can't agree more.
Entrepreneurship is a chronic disease. That's how I describe it. Because you
I
have
love
it,
this
you
one.
cannot never get rid of it. And you may as well learn how to live with it because it's not going to leave you ever.
And I think you're born with it, right? I mean,
you're born with it. But you may as well find a way for yourself and surround yourself with people that you enjoy that journey with.
Absolutely.
It's like with having a family. It's like selecting your life partner is the same way. So you have to really enjoy what you do.
Which brings me to one question. Where do you see your journey, Quantum Skin, the product that you've been conceived to go in the future? I mean, how do you think that your narrative will evolve? I mean, how do you see yourself being even more successful, which is the final goal?
Well, I don't think success is the final goal, and I also I often try to reflect, what is the final goal? I find that a lot of that, it kind of translates to me into the journey. Like, I really enjoy the journey. Mm-hmm. Of course, I set the goals for myself and for the company of where I want to be. I know 100% of what I want to do with this product that we're very soon releasing to market is that I wanted to help a very large number of people.
That's really
to gain confidence in what they do in their daily skin routine. And that's why I wanted to build the intelligent system that helps them to do that. If I make those people happy, that's the level of success where I want to be.
A democratic approach, I will define it, right? To democratize
make it accessible.
Yeah.
Put the decision...
Because the salon beauty we discussed at the beginning, right? Or the salon clinic.
Look, everybody,
it's not for everyone.
As you mentioned, as we go through phases, we also pass through different phases. And there's a phase definitely when we want to look beautiful. And we're really focused on that.
And women
And let's be honest, we all went through that phase.
And women especially, right? I mean, that's a societal construct that...
Because if you don't feel like you look beautiful, then it's, you lose your confidence, you don't feel good, and it affects your behavior, it affects your delivery. It's actually, there's all these studies that are being done of how it actually affects your productivity.
Of course.
So skin is so critical for us to feel confident. But there are different levels of comfort. One is for beauty, and that's what the majority of the industries focus on. But from my personal experience, especially as we age, and we looked at this topic of longevity, I think the most important point is to feel confident with who you are
Absolutely.
and how you age, how you feel about yourself.
Right.
It doesn't have to be about beauty. I think it's more about health and wellness. Because if you feel like your skin is healthy and you're taking care of it and you actually know what's happening, that gives you the confidence.
Absolutely. To go through the day, to grow through your life in a better way, right?
You evolve.
Yeah.
You evolve, we all do. And I think this, basically on the topic of longevity as well, when we're talking about systems and the system that we have built, it will evolve with you. It will learn of what you're doing. It will see how your skin is changing. And basically, it will also age with you. And it will make those predictive judgments together with you based on how you are evolving, aging, and what makes you feel good and how your style fits into it. So that's really the main goal, is to create a system that evolves with you as you age.
Actually, there is one aspect that intrigues me a lot as a scientist, as a medical doctor, and this is research in space. And now we might be wondering, where is there a connection between aging, skin, and space? Actually, there is a tight interrelation for a very simple reason. When we are in that setting, when astronauts are in space, actually, we know that there is a fast aging process. You age faster in space condition for different type of reason. Radiation, for the fact that you are in an artificial environment, you're isolated, you don't move, and we know that movement also are very, very important for the way we function, the way we age, for the way the skin looks, vascularization, irritation, etc. Now, at the foundation, we are planning to do studies on the space station and in a space environment to study exactly how we age. And we do a lot of neurodegenerative diseases. We are very strong in Alzheimer, Parkinson models. So now let's think about this different type of approach. And shall we also study skin aging and skin treatment in space? Will this be a way to speed up even discoveries, or is it again something completely far from what we should be doing? Where you see an opportunity there?
Well, that's a very interesting topic, first of all. And there were some discussions on the exploration of skincare space before. But how I see this, coming back to the intelligence of the system. So what are we able to do? We're able to track how skin is reacting to different treatments. We're able to track how it reacts to different environments.
Absolutely.
So I think it's logical to assume that those environments don't just have to be here. They can be anywhere. So I think this is a very interesting topic that could be explored already with intelligence that we have built. Of course, to identify what are we actually looking for? What are the goals? To track how the skin is changing with different applications, with different methods of delivery, or just as is, to see what those variations are, and then bring that science into maybe even translating into longevity science here on Earth. Of how that affects, the way we move forward.
And this is what we are trying to do, exactly this, to use that accelerated aging process that happens in space to translate then discoveries here on Earth. So in a way, it's going to be also a way to have shorter clinical studies, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Because the fact that you age faster, we shrink the duration of studies that you have to do on Earth. I mean, one clinical trial to measure effects of compounds and treatment in human for diseases like Alzheimer, for example, takes around 2 years. If you can shrink that process because you are in a different environment, space condition, not environmental.
Right.
Yeah, environmental, but in space, that's saving time. saving assets, saving the money to conduct such a study and give you faster learning. So that's what we're trying to do and could be applied.
But I think that this is fascinating because, if there's things that are happening faster in space,
Yeah.
that means there are other things that could be happening faster as well. Like, for example, ingredient activation.
Exactly.
Of how the treatments are done, how long they last, or how quickly they
get eliminated.
activate the skin. So there's all these different aspects, considering that could be brought into the picture as well. So I think there's enormous potential.
And that's the beauty of being scientist and innovators and entrepreneur today. I think that there is a very tight interaction among different stakeholders that have to sit around the table to bring all this solution to people, to patients, to users. And I see this happening in your organization. I see this happening in my organization. So when you wanna be successful and go fast and transform, you need to bring different competences around the table, not be the silo player, to a point that you even start to think, okay, I'm going to work with astronauts,
But they say the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Now you and I are discussing the space is the limit.
Absolutely.
So the space is the limit for now, and who knows what other limits.
But it's real. Imagine also sex and gender differences. We go back now to the gap that exists in medicine, right? The fact that women were not carefully studied yet. And those sex and gender differences even apply in space science. Women age faster than men in space, right? And that's because of biological reasons, first of all. I mean, we are in a way more delicate. But there are also differences showing that, women might be more resilient in other ways when they are in space. So
right.
I think it's worth it to expand this level of research and gain the learnings, because maybe one day, by the way, space will become a reality for things we don't even know. So I think that evolution of humanity, it's going fast and towards direction that at least my grandmother would have never thought of. And this shows the level of speed. And I'm glad to see solutions like the one you're developing to brought into the market soon, because it will also transform in the end medical treatment. That's what I've said earlier. So we start with cosmetics and with daily routine for skin treatment, but then it will have tremendous impact on medical application. This is where I want to see the transformation happening. But with this in mind, I mean, we go back to the great work you've done, the team you've been setting up in place, and where you are today. Now, your call to action. I mean, who should help you in this journey? From whom do you need the help? If we had to activate, apart from the early users and early adopters of your technology, because I think you're going to make now a soft launch, if I understood correctly, where you want to activate early adopters of this solution to learn also. But then who else you need to bring into the picture?
So early adopters are the key, obviously, because
in everything we do.
Everything that we do, because we already have the technology that we built. We have the system that is ready to go.
One question I have, I mean, what's the name? You mentioned many times that you're developing a platform, a system. How is this platform and system really meant to be? Does it have a name?
It has a name. We're going to release the name today.
Okay.
The first time on your platform.
Okay.
And it's called Asia. So that's the name of the system that we're releasing, and it has different names for different parts of the system, but the main one is Asia.
Right.
We're opening up an early adopters launch very soon. And we would like to see participation. And I think right now, with how the industry is moving with technological advancement, it's a collaborative approach of the industry. So we would be looking, and already looking at partnership with larger skin, personal care organizations. We're looking into collabs with different brands, because at the end of the day, we want to have this solution open to all.
Right.
So we would like to offer the users different products from different brands and from different beauty players or
course.
skincare players to actually move that forward that fits the users the best.
So it's a piece of technology that has the potential to benefit all the players,
So
from the user to the one that are doing skin treatment solutions, right?
So what we're really like the big vision and the end goal, what you asked before, is to create a platform where it could be, I mean, of course, benefiting individually each consumer with their individual skin needs, but also opens up opportunity for others to bring in and offer the innovative approaches that they have within the products that they're building to, within the system.
At home, on a daily
At home, on a
use
daily basis.
for the benefit of each woman and each man out there. And ideally, even you mentioned that, I was smiling when I heard it, but I think it's true. I mean, even now, teenagers are very much into skincare. And by the way, the transformation of the skin due to hormones impacting that phase of our life, it's tremendous. So to benefit even them, I think that's the ambition you should have and you have. And this makes a difference. With this, I think we are coming towards the end of this conversation. So we go back to you as a person. I want to conclude with a personal touch because you are an impressive woman. You are a leader. You had a wonderful personal journey that brought you today here. And you're a mother of two young women. If you have a recommendation for the next entrepreneur to be, a woman ideally, or even a man, I mean, which is your 3 elements of recommendation? How to be where you are today? What one should do? 3 things.
3 things. Be resilient.
Right.
Do not be afraid.
Right.
Set the goals and execute. But I'm very much passionate mainly about female entrepreneurship because I know how hard it is. It's very hard to get where you are with all the additional challenges that we have. I'm very passionate about female entrepreneurship in general, but I do believe that we actually have an advantage if we set our mind to it.
Okay, now I'm curious. Which is?
I think it's just the sensitivity that we have about topics that we're passionate about, and going deep into understanding of where, what the purpose is. I think that's actually an advantage of what female entrepreneurship has as opposed to...
And I hope to see this flourishing in the future and this 3% investment going to female founders becoming a 30%, a 50%. Exactly. We are working hard for that.
We're working hard and we're here today.
Exactly. The foundation is identifying successful innovators and innovative solutions that can be brought into the market. We are helping startups scale up to thrive, to refine the scientific value proposition, the medical value proposition, to understand where to put the scientific bet, where to go into a regulatory journey if you want to go towards more a medical device. In this case, it's not. But, we talked about it, and maybe it's going to be transformative also for medical application. So that's what we do, and this is why this dialogue is so important. You need the platform. The foundation is a platform for innovators, for unmet medical needs to be tackled from the lens of precision medicine, sex and gender precision medicine. And there is one thing that is the big elephant in the room. We touched base already in a private conversation we had before coming here. Ethnicity. I think ethnicity is the next level of where we should go, because not every skin is the same. Not every skin is Caucasian. And I hope that, as with medicine, where we advocate for, the next level of jump, which is including more diversity into clinical trials, that's going to be also the case for innovation like yours, bringing also different type of skin into the games, because that's where we have to focus as well.
But just a couple of words to close with. For any women and female entrepreneurs that is out there, set an intent and go execute.
Absolutely.
And don't allow anyone tell you that you cannot do it.
No. That's... actually,
because
the moment,
can,
actually,
and even more, and even more.
And actually, the interesting part is that for when you're told you can't, I think there are some special neuronal pathways that get activated.
Trigger.
Exactly, which brings you to show even more, yes, I can, right? I mean, I'll show you now that I really can. So we have to be thankful to those who tell us, no, don't do it, or you cannot go this way, or this will not work, because they challenge us, and the challenge bring us to be even more successful.
That's true.
Certainly you have to be persistent, stubborn, and focused. I think that these are also the three elements to have. With this, I think we can conclude. Yoanna, it has been a joy. I wish Quantum Skin in Asia the biggest success for democratizing this approach that at the moment is not available for everyone on a daily routine, and bring precise solutions for our skin treatment, for our skin aging, and in the end for eventually revert in also the inner aging of our organs.
Thank you for having me.